All right. Hey, friends, welcome back to the channel. I'm Tori, and this evening I have a wonderful leading lady here with me
My goodness.
to chat. And as she called it in our DMs yesterday, a hot chicks hangout, which made me even more excited to be here this evening. But yeah, the A in J.A.J. Minton, and as John always says, the most important letter of J.A.J. Minton. Welcome, Amy. Thank you for hanging out with us.
I am so glad to be here, and with an ultra talented woman such as yourself, I feel like we're going to set the internet on fire this evening.
We might break something.
We might break
your
the
chair,
internet.
potentially.
This chair is really, I'm sorry, John. I know you're watching downstairs, and I tried to get this to, there's a lot going on with this chair, John.
Apparently there is something such as a too fancy chair.
This chair is way too fancy. It's a Starship Enterprise chair. Can you hear these?
Yeah.
What? Why? What does he need that? He doesn't need that for BookTube. What's going on here?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for like controls to pop up around you.
I know you're on the couch, John, and you're really upset that I'm doing this to your chair because he's a little OCD. I'm sorry. That went off the rails really quickly.
See, it's funny you mentioned that though, because I noticed that you do like to mess with John and Jacob in that way quite often. Because in one of the videos, I think it was the first one you were in on the Talking Story channel, Jacob had everything set up and there was a little statue on the side of the table that you kept messing with and turning because it was, he'd set it a certain way and you just kept messing with it. I love that.
Have you ever seen Misery? I promise this is on the same topic with Kathy Bates. Okay. Well, you don't like horror, do you?
Don't.
This is horror. So this is a Stephen King movie, and Kathy Bates is a little OCD.
Sure.
So like she's got James Caan trapped in her house. She's the writer's #1 fan, and she's got him in prison to write.
That's already terrifying.
I know, right? She's got him in prison to write the book that she wants written, because he ended his series in not an appropriate way. So she has imprisoned him to write the book she wants written to end the series properly. And she's a little OCD. So whenever he gets up and there's something out of place, she knows it. It's because everything in her house is exact and perfect. And there was a little in the movie and in the book, she has a figurine shelf, and he was like, "How did you know that I got up?" And she said something along the lines that the penguin always points north. So
wow,
that's what I say. Like, discovery always points east.
We have a set. Way.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, now you're making me want to read Misery, even though that sounds absolutely terrifying. I have to say, there was a book, and I won't say what because I don't want to spoil the scene for anybody who doesn't know, hasn't read it yet. But there was a book I read a while ago where the character's doing something in their apartment, and the cat is just sitting on top of a bookshelf. And there's this moment, and it is kind of a darker, kind of noir sort of vibe to the story anyways. And we shift from whatever the character's doing to the cat is just sitting on the bookshelf, staring without moving at the front door.
Uh-oh.
And I got full body chills.
Yeah.
And I love subtle, like, thriller horror like that. I think that's really, really cool when people are able to just that tiny little thing. That's so cool.
I do love those psychological horrors or the like the sinister horror where you don't need to lean too heavily on the supernatural. And Stephen King has a few where the people are the horror. So and Misery is one of them. There's no supernatural in Misery, and it's a bit gross. So I mean, just things happen in that house. So yeah, that and like movies like The Others with Nicole Kidman is something have you seen that?
I've seen clips of it. I've never seen the film.
It's so dark and moody, and it's what you might expect from like a Alfred Hitchcock kind of thing. I mean, but that does have a bit of a supernatural bent to it. But I just think those are so fun when they're so tightly plotted.
Yeah. So
and they rely on atmosphere, right?
Out of curiosity, because listening to you talk about these like different horror lots of different subgenres of horror, as you have on Talking Story, I always feel like the best writers are the ones who are able, and this is within any genre, right? Fantasy definitely included, where there's a line between, you were talking about a book being very gruesome in one of the videos that I was watching today. And I feel like there's such a fine line between gruesome and gratuitous. And I wonder, like, for you, what is that? Is there a line there? Where does that fall? Do you have like, what clues you in that an author is either really intentionally responsible with that, or, you know, taking it a little bit too much for granted?
That's a really good question, and it's so good. I'm not even sure I have an answer. I'm gonna try to wade.
I'm here to ask the hard questions.
Yeah, I'm guessing that you were talking about that you're talking about right now, Black Leopard, Red Wolf, which is a Marlon, but I'll just
that one, but also the one by David Benioff is the one I think you guys were talking about that I was watching.
City of Thieves.
That one, yeah.
Gruesome, but not gratuitous. So I wish John were here. He would tell me. That's a horrible answer. I'm gonna wade in.
You know what?
I don't need him.
I can give you a moment and say hi to some people if you want a moment to ponder.
No, I got it.
Okay.
So I would say like Marlon James with Black Leopard, Red Wolf. When I was talking about that one, and some people, you know, actually took my advice and picked it up, and they were like, "Oh, I can't get through it.
Yeah.
It's really dark. It's very violent, and to me, it edges on gratuitous. It's right there at the end.
Pushes the boundary.
It pushes. And it feels like gratuitous might be when you're doing it for the sake of doing it as a writer, and you're not doing it to advance plot or character. And that, when I was talking about Black Leopard, Red Wolf, I was thinking along the lines of how drastic the monsters are in that fantasy, and how, like, it's not just a vampire, but it's a vampire that also will exchange your blood for lightning, and it will, you know, hang you in trees, and it will, like, so all of these things that kind of pile up as far as the horrors, just to me, like, it pushes the characters. So it's like there's a definite avoidance there. Like, you want to avoid these things
at all costs.
At all costs. And then when you put your characters in that situation and they get into avoidance in extreme ways like that, then like some really interesting things happen where they're interacting with people they wouldn't normally, or they're doing things they wouldn't normally do. So I would say if the violence is pushing everything around the board like that, then that's when it's really working.
Yeah.
And if it's not, and if it's just a gross out just for the sake of it, and it doesn't, and nobody is really impacted, and it's not informing any decisions, and it's not meaning anything to the plot, that's I think where gratuitous might be labeled, you know.
Yeah.
What do you think? I
mean, I totally agree with that. I think I run into that a lot in fantasy too, because I read a lot of like darker military style fantasy stories, and it is definitely a line that I feel like, and I don't even think it's intentional. Sometimes I think a lot of authors just don't put as much thought into it as they need to, because like with any kind of heavier content in a book, knowing why it's there, knowing how to use it in a way that serves the story and your reader, as opposed to, oh man, wouldn't it be cool if like there was just guts everywhere, you know, that kind of thing. Like, it's not, you can't do that, but I feel like it's ultimately going to leave a kind of shallow taste at the end.
And as a writer, haven't you been tempted to be like, you know, let's spice things up. Let's have something, you know, really major happen. And so it can be kind of, it can be tempting when you've written yourself into a corner.
For sure.
And then you give your characters machine guns and they you know, but it feels like the better option was to find out how that corner existed in the first place, and try to get right. And you know, body horror is something that we've been flirting with, and that's especially, you know, I think where gratuitous can be, like, you have to be really careful with that,
right?
But when we were setting up our story and adding body horror, at first we were just like, all three of us saying it's the right thing to do, like straight off the bat. It sets the stakes at the beginning of the story. And so everybody from now on is like, you're going to want to avoid this area at all costs, because when you go into this geographical area, this is going to happen. And so we had to just like push it and push it and push it. I've so far not heard anybody say it's gratuitous, but we do push it. So
well, and everybody's threshold is going to be different too.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
So it's, for some readers, it might not be enough versus other readers who might be like, oh my gosh, this is so far past what I'm comfortable reading.
And that's all life experience and taste. And, I was just mentioning Marlon James, and, he had, as far as I understand, an upbringing where he witnessed a lot of violence. So that's just a part of his world. And that's a part. Yeah. So I'm extra sheltered, but I've read a lot of Stephen King. So that's also, kind of my reality. I know to please readers, you have to have a certain amount of thrill. And so what about you? I mean, what's your personal take on it? Like, how much can you tolerate and how much do you like?
Yeah, it really depends on how it's handled for me. I think my threshold moves pretty drastically based on how it's handled with certain topics. I think, one that I talk about on my channel a lot, that's a very prevalent thing in fantasy, is sexual violence. Yeah. And that's something that I think at this point pretty known for having strong opinions on how it's handled. And I think, where I've read, one of my favorite a couple of my favorite fantasy authors or books that I've read, Dead House Gates by Stephen Erickson and Daughter of the Forest by Juliette Marillier, both include scenes of that nature that are handled with such a depth of understanding and responsibility and just incredible finesse that it's kind of like those kind of scenes. I have a very high threshold because of how they're handled. And then I have DNF'd books instantly because of the same content, but it's handled in a way that is very perpetrator focused, or it's very, in my opinion, gratuitous, where the language being used is making it feel like a wish fulfillment scene, as opposed to, this is a horrible thing that happened to someone. What is that going to cause, for this character? Because at the end of the day, I want to see the character is given more importance by a long shot than the event itself. And oftentimes I don't feel like that's the case. So yeah, and for my own writing, I think, and I know I've talked about this a little bit with John a couple of times, whenever I include something heavy, whether it's violence or anything of that nature, my first question to myself is, how do I earn it?
That's a really great question to ask yourself constantly. I mean, with that and everything else. And you mentioned where you'll instant DNF, and for me, it's animal violence. If I even get a small whiff that something is going to happen to an animal, I will throw a book down. I was like, I don't want to read it. That's fair. There was a book recently I was reading, and I knew that the animal violence was coming, but the book was so good, I skipped it. I skipped that, and then I checked in with other people. It was like, did that happen? Yes, it happened. Then I just don't want to read it. That's another area of gratuitous violence that I feel is it's extremely manipulative. And I could not read Tender is the Flesh by Agustina Bastarrica, which is basically, it's slaughterhouse stuff, and it goes into cannibalism. Personally, I don't mind. I can't believe I'm going to say this. Personally, I don't mind. I don't mind cannibalism. I just don't care. I just don't care. Cannibalism, what? Who doesn't indulge every now and again? But I like the stuff, the really in-depth stuff without, and it doesn't have to be very in-depth to be in-depth with me. Just like, you feel like you want to tell me how a slaughterhouse works, I'm peace out. I can't do it. I can't do it. And I know that that's a reality. And yeah, it's like, and I know that's a reality, but I always feel that it's manipulative on the part of
Yeah.
so there was a book that I read recently called Glyph by Ali Smith.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful book, and I can't stop recommending it to people. The whimsical nature of that is the two sisters together are saving a horse
Yeah.
from slaughter, and they're keeping it in a house, and it's so lovely and whimsical. And I just had this tension in my chest, like, are they going to fail? Are they gonna whatever happen? And Ali Smith, the author, was so deliberate I was like, I got this feeling in the book, like she knew I was waiting for it to happen. And that one of the girls commented, it felt like it was kind of through the author voice. It's like, this isn't going to end how you think it's going to end. And I was like, I loved that so much. And I was like,
thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for including an animal that's been rescued from the slaughterhouse and not having them, like having it end the way you think it's gonna,
right. Yeah, subverting expectations.
It's not even it wasn't sappy, or we're not talking about Charlotte's Web either. We're talking about something nuanced and something well handled, but an author that's very aware of what she's doing. And so that would be a recent one where I was like, oh, we're getting really close to this instant DNF. And it was, in the way it was handled, I was like, well done, and a great lesson,
Yeah, that's awesome. That is one that, hearing you talk about it recently, had me very curious. I would love to try, like, that one's so far outside of my normal reading repertoire, but I like pulling books like that sometimes to kind of push, because I mean, you read very widely too, and I think especially as a writer, that's so important, because you're constantly learning new things about your genre from genres outside of it that you can bring in and make it fresher and interesting and subvert things, and even just, a different way. A first person narration in fantasy is going to be different oftentimes than a first person narration in literary fiction or, whatever other genre. So you can learn something about the same storytelling elements through seeing them through the lens of different genres. And I think that's one of my favorite things about reading pretty widely. So,
yeah. And what's really fun coming to the genre of fantasy and sci-fi from learning from literary works is that it's so much more open about what you can do and what you can pull off. And I feel that genre readers are so much more open to some of the literary stuff that you can pull off. And that the hardline literary community, to me, can feel, and I've been one of them. I probably still as snobbish. They can just be like,
we all are in some way in our own
exactly.
genres.
But like pushing the boundaries in literary fiction, I think, is a lot more difficult, because you're going to get a lot of people with their PhDs and people who really, really know their stuff that are going to call you out on using metaphors that are overused. Or it was like some of the things that I think that get called out there could be like, I feel like pulling back a little bit, especially when I've seen stuff like on Talking Story and other booktubers in the genre, it's like pulling back a little bit and allowing the artist to grow through some immaturity, for lack of a better word, or just, greenness, just like pulling back a little bit and let them push through without squashing their voice. Seems to me that, like, at the other end, you get a better writer from that method than you do if you just get, like, you're constantly slapping a writer. It's like, don't use butterflies for metaphors for growth, or, but it was like, well, what if I do once? And then, and then my next story, I grow even more. So what I'm learning that the booktube community is so, at least in the genre areas, are so kind and so supportive, to the point where I'm seeing growth among writers and
Yeah.
even booktubers talking about literature that I
Mhm.
feel is so much faster in
Yeah.
terms, and the evolution is so much richer
Yeah.
than what I've seen in other communities. And
Yeah.
I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to be here.
We're so happy you're here.
I'm endlessly happy to have found it. And certainly when I stumbled into it, I was a bit like, it's like, I don't know. I'm not sure. What will my friends think? And now I'm just like, I don't care. This is this is better.
Yeah.
This
Well,
is so
I
much
mean,
better.
it is so funny to me that fantasy as a genre often, and not everywhere, but in a lot of what I would consider more literary circles, has such a stigma about it. And it's so
Yeah, right?
interesting. And it's like we're like fantasy is somehow a like, the kids genre or the
Yeah.
the people that can't write fantasy kind of mindset, which
Yeah.
is crazy. And I love seeing people I love genre blends. I love seeing
Mhm.
people mix genre. I love fantasy authors that take a little bit of that lyrical kind of literary feel to their work. And I think genres are always richer for being intermingled. Always.
Yeah. Yeah. And wait, gosh, when you just said that, I was thinking of how like John used to come with me when I had like dinner with some of my instructors who
Okay.
were very literary.
Sure.
And John was like, I think at one time they were bemoaning about how much money that you can make in the literary field, which is like negative.
Sure.
It's like
Yeah.
not zero, it's negative. And somebody had mentioned one time, it was like, I think I'm going to write a novel about a serial killer. And John's like, John's like at the dinner table, is like, well, now your foot's pointing towards the cash register, isn't it? And it's like, and what's wrong with it when you can communicate larger truths
Right.
in this genre, and when your imagination goes wild, like how much you can reach for.
Yeah.
I find it so liberating. It's just so liberating
Yeah.
to be in this genre, and so lucky.
Yeah, it is really cool. And that's one of the things, the type of person I am, I feel like I'm way too much of a free spirit for a literary genre. I don't know if I could ever write it because I come into fantasy and I love that one of the things about our genre is that it is literally from day one, break the rules. What can you put in your fantasy world? Like,
yeah, right.
If it works, anything.
Yes.
Yeah, which is so cool.
So when you take those guardrails off and like you can, let me just tell you, like this fall I read War and Peace, and
I'm literally reading that right now.
No kidding. Which part are you on?
I'm 400, not even 350 pages in, so I'm in part 2, beginning of part 2.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm so glad you're reading that.
Me too. I'm loving it so far. So good.
Yes and no. Like I had a love-hate relationship with that book, and then I ended up loving it at the end.
Okay.
But like when he goes off about like troop maneuvers and stuff, I'm just like,
see, I'm a military girly, so
then you're gonna love that. You're gonna love that so much.
My
so
grandfather,
much.
I've told John this probably 87 times. My grandfather was a Civil War historian.
No kidding. So do you know where we live? Do you know where we live on?
Right.
On a in the former grounds of a Civil War prison. This is where our house is.
So cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool. That is your house haunted?
No, it's really happy. It's a really happy house. I thought it would be.
I believe
that.
that.
It's a very happy house. It's really odd,
Yeah.
We have a drawing. I'm so sorry I interrupted you. I want to hear more about your grandfather. But there's a drawing somewhere of in the prison in the early days, because in the later days, like when the dysentery set in, it wasn't very, very it didn't lend itself to illustration. But the early days, they had a baseball team, and they would play like Confederate versus Union, because they would have like a lot of the Confederate soldiers that were here were were deserters or people who refused to enlist.
Sure.
And then, so they had a lot in common, but they played baseball. So John calls this the Confederate Field of Dreams. And we think it's really happy. So
it's amazing. I love that.
There are mass graves a few blocks south, but we don't say anything about them.
No, that's fine.
No. Please tell me about your grandfather, though. Civil War historian. That sounds so interesting.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's one of the reasons I tell people that I think writing military fiction of any kind is just in my DNA at this point, because a lot of the first stories I ever heard as a very small child were, sitting next to my grandfather on the couch, and he would tell me Civil War and World War II stories.
Oh, and, wow.
Like just the stories of the everyday soldier and the kind of tragic heroism of so many of the characters that he brought to life. And he was an excellent oral storyteller, like phenomenal.
Wonderful.
And so he really ignited that kind of storytelling love for me. And I think that's one of the reasons why so much of my writing, especially in epic fantasy, is like I couldn't not write about soldiers. It's kind of impossible.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And so what did you what was his specialty like in Civil War or World War II?
Well, he loved World War II because he was born right during the middle of it. And then when he was a very small boy, he lived near an airfield where one of the pilots let him sit in a P-51 Mustang, and like it just, he always wanted to be He always wanted to be a fighter pilot. But in Civil War, he actually we're descended from a Union soldier in the Civil War who was part of the 1st Minnesota Regiment, who fought in pretty much every major battle of the Civil War that people think of. So the Antietam, the First Bull Run, the Gettysburg, all of them, Chancellorsville. And
he survived all that?
Surprisingly, we're all here.
Wow.
And the 1st Minnesota has a pretty storied history within the Civil War, and they're a pretty respected regiment. They were involved in Pickett's Charge in Gettysburg. I don't know how much you know about Gettysburg, but I actually, when we went to Gettysburg, we had a private tour guide because we're related to somebody in the 1st Minnesota. And he actually had us walk Pickett's Charge, where my great grandfather's company would have come across.
How powerful is that?
Incredible.
Wow.
So yeah, that's kind of our area of emphasis, because my family also has like over 200 letters that my triple great grandfather wrote home during the Civil War. So he was also a writer. He wrote constantly throughout the war, which is just so cool.
Amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. We're going through my grandfather's house right now because he's in memory care, and my mom and I have gotten to see all of the collections that and it's just been that
what
part
has to do with it.
Keep it.
Are you going to keep it? You're not going to put it in a collection for.
It depends on what it is. Because he had a lot of other families' collections that they would give him because that he was a historian.
Yeah.
So some of that stuff, we've made sure that that's gotten to different historical groups and made sure that that's going to be preserved. But we have, carloads of binders and boxes of like replica things from the Civil War we have so much family history stuff from their house, which is awesome. It's just a little overwhelming with how much of it there is.
Yeah.
But that one specifically, like being a daughter of the 1st Minnesota, is something that I'm incredibly proud of.
That's so cool. You could have your own archive. I would love that. Secretly, I would love to be an archivist and have my own archive and be like, digging through old stuff constantly.
I love it. I love it.
So one time I went to, let's geek out. One time I went to Wyoming, and I was digging through my great uncle's stuff in that archive at the university, and he was in Berlin during the rise of the Third Reich, and he was then he returned as a journalist in Patton's Third Army. So he was like the front end of the back end of the war, right? So I'm going through all of his papers, and it just like, it smelled like Europe burning in these files. It was still there, and it was like some of them had not been opened since we packed them away. Like even the archivist had just like put them in these folders and like, here, and I was like, I actually got like pneumonia from that weekend, and like I've started as bronchitis because I got this infection from breathing in all of like smoky Europe. I got an infection.
I believe it. With all the dust my mom and I have been breathing in, that doesn't surprise me.
I called it Hitler's revenge because it was so incredible. It was just like, so I just got, all of that in my lungs, and it was, but I've just never been happier. That's not true. I love you, John. Our wedding day was the best day of my life.
Yeah.
Not in the archives.
I mean, you're just getting him back for him not remembering how long you've been together, right? I mean,
I can't remember either. It's been a while. It's been some time. It's been a while.
After a while, I feel like you've just been together. Like, I feel like there's just not the before seems, because like my husband and I have now been together longer than I was alive before.
Yeah, no kidding.
And it's just like,
it's to the point where like everything about each other, and like what John will do though is like he'll just like kind of like pop out with like, oh yeah, one time I did this, and I'm like, what? And mostly I learn about it on YouTube. Like I just happened to be like watching something, and he says something. It's like, who is this? What
happened? How come I didn't know about this?
And it's usually from his time in LA, and it's usually about like people he's met and things he's done. Sometimes it's even like he said recently that he was on babe, I know you're downstairs, but it's like, what, you some kind of like weird villain on a puppet show? And I was like, what? I never knew that. So a spouse that constantly surprises you.
Yeah.
It's the best, right?
Yes. Yeah. And also like how, I don't know, I feel incredibly blessed to be married to someone who has as deep of a love of storytelling as I do, because I know a lot of creative people don't have that experience, where they may have really supportive partners, but they're not, they when you're not in it, it's not the same.
Yeah.
And my favorite part about being married to Ben is the fact that we can just have these really knowing each other so well, and being able to talk that deeply about story is just, it's so cool.
It's such a blessing to be able to do things like that with your spouse, and now with our kid, and we didn't see that coming. Like he was not a reader. He wasn't a reader when they started the BookTube channel. It was really the community that did it for him.
Yeah,
it couldn't have been us because we tried. And
well, you planted all the seeds though.
He saw books in our house, and I think it's really important when kids are growing up to see books in houses and see, so he saw all that, and he saw his father reading. Later, he saw me reading. I took some time off after undergrad, and because it was just, I was reading a whole bunch of stuff that I didn't want to read, and I had to read it very quickly.
Feel that.
And it was like, I can't take another restoration play. I can't. So, and then, or it's the restoration is the freaking worst, man. Anywho,
I mean, we can absolutely talk theater and dish on plays we hate in a little bit if you
plays
would like
we hate. Moliere, I'm coming for you. Like, what is the point?
The first play that my husband was in when we joined, or when we came in as freshmen, was Tartuffe. He played a minor character in Tartuffe.
Colleges love to do Tartuffe. Why?
I mean, the set was amazing. The set was awesome,
and I mean, I never mind. I know why.
No, does anybody in the chat have a clue what we're talking about?
Anyone?
It's so lovely when I can, when you can just take
Moliere. Anybody? Moliere.
Yeah, Moliere.
What was the era of? It's probably before probably before the Renaissance, when maybe it is Restoration, because Moliere's not Restoration. When were the everyman plays? Where like
Oh
where
gosh.
the churches
Yeah.
try to take control of the theater. What a
Yeah.
disaster that
The,
was.
like Faustus era.
Stay away. Churches, it's just a separation of church and theater. But they tried, the churches tried so hard to get in there, and just like the morality plays, what yawns, boring,
Yeah.
like, and the troops that would travel around and perform these plays, and they would teach you about like, I'm not saying religion bad, I'm not saying that, I'm just saying
as a devout Christian, I completely agree with you.
keep it out keep it out of the touring, like the no. Casey's
comment is my favorite. I don't know what Tartuffe is, but I am also not impressed on principle. Love that. I love the support.
But the spelling is correct, so I think you might know what Tartuffe is.
That's impressive. That is impressive. I realized that I've just completely ignored the chat. Guys, I love you. I'm so sorry.
We got a lot of women in the chat. I've come in kind of, but
hello,
we have a lot of women, and Brian Bell.
And that makes sense.
Oh, Derry's here.
Oh, speaking of which, really quickly, my good friend Kai down in the chat here, guys, she's on Kickstarter with her debut fantasy novel. It's a very multicultural, like epic fantasy told through the lens of a love story. And I'm very excited for her. So you guys should go check that out.
Please check out Kai. I backed it today, and I'm really excited.
I did too. I'm so
excited. Going to get my signed copy.
Me too. I've been waiting.
Yes, I know.
Waiting for it to go live.
John's like, have we supported it? And I'm just like, me?
I did. You get your own.
To me. To me.
Yep. Do you guys have to fight over like whose book is whose in the house?
No, because we don't read a lot of the same stuff.
Sure,
and he's always so generous as to let me have the ones that are kind of clearly in my territory. Like if something is literary, it's like if I bought it and I shared it, like he will return it. He's not a Jacob about it. And then he's
Jacob just hoards.
I mean, there are just like piles and piles of books up here that I would probably never touch. Like it's just not my bag.
Not your thing. Yeah.
And so like whenever I need a book, I don't raid his piles, and he doesn't raid mine. It's just too separated. You've but some of these books over here are just freaking gorgeous. I mean, they're gorgeous.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I have a little bit of a love-hate relationship with all the special editions that are coming out because there's just too many of them.
Yeah.
And also, I think it's really funny when it's like the same book and it comes out with like 3 different special editions within 6 months. I'm like, guys, come on.
Like, settle down.
However,
decide.
Some of these, I mean, there's some beautiful books coming out. So
gorgeous. And what we're finding, like in the family, is that like John will get a nice special edition of a book he really, really loves and gives his reading copy to Jacob. So it's kind of
so Jacob doesn't steal the special edition.
So he doesn't it's like there's like 2 things going on. Jacob does not leave the special edition, and John gets to justify his expense by saying that he's given it to Jacob, who will now read it for the channel. Jacob will never read like his 2 shelves. He will never read all that. I love you, son.
He's doing his best, and I love.
You know what? He's come so far, hasn't he?
I love it.
He's come so far. I'm so proud of him.
Yeah,
I'm so proud of you, buddy.
Don says the master. Finally, I saved the best for last, guys. You know that.
I don't know about that.
Brian says, finally, Talking Story looks good.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it does.
Hello, Zamar. I know I'm way behind. I just wanted to say hi really quickly to everybody. Some people who are really big fans of The Others in the chat.
That movie, just if you haven't seen The Others, please take a look at that. That is such, like, if you love Alfred Hitchcock, you're going to love The Others.
It's really funny because I actually can handle suspense in books way better than I can handle suspense in films. I have a really hard time. Like, a great example of a book that I absolutely could not handle was Shutter Island. I could not handle that movie. Couldn't handle it. I couldn't watch it.
I loved that movie.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
It was campy, and I knew what was going to happen, but I was like, "This is fun." You know what? You know what I do? Like John always wants to watch a movie on the big screen in the living room, and I'm just like, no, because if something is scary, I turn the volume down and I just watch it because like they're going to do it with the sound. I always know that. So it's a lot less scary if you just turn the volume down.
The real terrors of the film world are the sound designers.
On the soundscape. You turn that sound off, it is like 25% is scary.
I love the YouTube videos that put like a completely different sounding soundtrack with like what was the song, like, you know, Vader coming down out of the starship, and they put like some ridiculous thing behind it, and it's fantastic. Derry, speaking of body horror though, Derry says she bounces off body horror hard, and Discovery was perfectly in tone with a great story.
That's sweet. And I love you, Derry.
Derry's awesome. We all love Derry. Juliette Marillier briefly handles sexual violence, I think, in an absolutely incredibly masterful way. Also, Derry really would like you to read Hob. There are several comments.
That's shocking.
I know. Nobody would have guessed that.
Have you read Hob? Surely you have.
I have read. So I've read the first Realm of the Elderlings trilogy, which is the Farseer trilogy. And then I read Ship of Magic, which is the next, like, starting the live ship traders. And I DNF'd it. Derry and I had a whole live stream conversation about it. Because that one felt a little bit like just misery for 800 pages for, in my opinion, Derry, I love you so much. No reason. But Derry was fantastic. We had a wonderful conversation about that book, and coming at it from two completely opposite viewpoints of, you know, me really not loving the way that the story was handled, and Derry being such a huge fan of the series and Hob, and amazing conversation. That's
what it's all about.
Absolutely. Is there a book that you and John have like really polar opposite opinions on?
I don't know. What's with all your good questions? I gotta think.
I'm a professional.
No kidding. You know, when I first gave him Cloud Atlas by David Mitchell, he hated it. Like he said, this is a gimmick and I don't like it. And I was and then I was like, well, you need to push through. Now, John he will not DNF a book. Like I don't think I've ever seen him do it. He's just too stubborn. And then when you push through, he's just like, oh, okay, I see it. This is a work of genius. So that's, but I don't think we read enough of the same stuff to have a disagreement about it. Honey, I can't remember if there's something. So not often. And I think that's just because we don't read a lot of the same stuff. Now, if I read some of his stuff, yes, I'm a prolific DNFer. And I think we can come up with some opposite opinions pretty quickly if I had started going down those roads. Yeah. I did start, I'm just like, Derry, turn this off. I did read Assassin's Apprentice, like 2 chapters of it, and it wasn't for me right then. And the reason I can say that, because it may be so, or I was just like, I don't want this right now. And I can tell that is because like so many people have said, you know, how wonderful it is, and how much it's, you know, really impacted their lives. And I was just like, so I didn't give it a fair shake. Or it wasn't in the right mood. So,
I think, you know. But that's such a good point, though, because I am a firm believer in the fact that certain books come to you at exactly the right time.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not a question of whether or not you will enjoy the book at some point. It's just that, you know, you're, as subjective human beings, we have moods, right? I have reading moods for sure, where I'm like, right now, I am like, I want to read every classic. I want to read all the classics.
Wow.
That's not normal for me.
Yeah.
I like classics, but that's not usually a mindset I find myself in. And so, like, this year, I felt really confident and capable to tackle War and Peace. And last year, absolutely not. So
Yeah, right. There's just sometimes you just go just like, yeah, this is the mountain I want to climb today. And wait, like I'm on a real huge classic kick right now and have been for a couple of months. And that's just for me, just like, being in theater for so long, like I don't know a lot of the literary canon. Like
sure.
I
Yeah.
went to an MFA program I didn't know what Anna Karenina was. And I mean, right? So
I still
people were
haven't
just
read
like,
it.
they were making Anna Karenina jokes. And I was like, no idea. So
Yeah.
like, I really feel like I'm making up for a lot of things that I probably should have read before now.
Yeah.
And they're really difficult reads. Like I read Moby Dick last month and I was blown away.
Really?
And I needed a lot of help to get through
Sure.
it. I needed all of the internet videos, and I subscribed to Benjamin McAvoy's Hardcore
Yeah.
Literature Club.
I love
And
that channel.
so I got into all of his lectures and I got into all of the support. And there were times where I'm reading it. It's exactly like Tolstoy. Like, what are you doing? Why all this wailing? And then it's just like the video is just like, it's not about wailing. And I was like, oh man, I am so I feel pretty stupid when I hear that stuff. And it's like, oh, I think
It's
everybody
so
else in the
fair,
world doesn't
though.
know. But you know that you do, right? Like you
Yeah.
just feel just like, okay, I'm really late to this party.
So,
But it was really
okay.
amazing. It was
So
really amazing.
I actually have classics on my list even. So look at us
Oh,
being
what do
on
you
a
have?
script.
Yeah.
So I have to know I want to know some of your absolute top tier classics
Mm-hmm.
and what classics you haven't read yet that like you can't believe you haven't read them yet.
Top tier classics. How are you going to define classics? Like what?
Great question. I like to kind of, and I know I get in trouble for this for all of the people that are classics nerds. So, and if you are, don't listen. I usually go like anything 1960s, 70s, earlier than that.
Okay.
Partially so I can include The Outsiders.
Hey, like everybody's got their favorite modern classic.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes those books are like really formative,
Yeah. Absolutely.
Slaughterhouse-Five is a big favorite of mine.
Okay.
Simply because it's got and some people say, and I think they're right, that it's a bit misogynist. And I don't think it's like a true hate. I just think it's really kind of like one-dimensional.
A product of its time, maybe.
A little bit. It takes it a little far. But I think it's the most accurate portrayal of someone with PTSD that I've ever seen. And it's so for that, I loved it. And I love the audiobook by Ethan Hawke. Not the one by James Franco, but Ethan Hawke. He has this whispered urgency to it.
Yes.
He's just like, it was like, listen,
love Ethan Hawke.
Billy Pilgrim has become unstuck in time. And he's just like, he's whispering this and he's just like, I've got this story to tell you. And it is,
oh my goodness.
So that's a favorite in the modern classic realm. And I love in the modern classics that you can start leaning into things like Toni Morrison and, although she comes a little later, but you're starting to get into some people of color and some people who in translation that you wouldn't normally have access to.
Yeah.
But I'm a pretty big fool for Charles Dickens. I love some Dickens. And I'm really loving the Russians. I love Tolstoy. And as far as like the Dostoevsky, Tolstoy, fence, I'm firmly in Tolstoy. And it's not that I don't like Dostoevsky. I think that he's just not for me right now. But like I can definitely feel, his master, he's very, very much a master. PT. I suggest Hob. She's like
Derry will get you.
He's selling it hard.
Toni Morrison is somebody that I have not read yet, and that is one that is like really high on my list in terms of just I can't and I haven't because I know Jimmy from Fantasy Network has been has read her recently and really been talking her books up. And I can't remember if he started with The Bluest Eye or Beloved. I can't remember which one. Do you have a recommended, like if I were going to try one of her books to start me off, what would you steer me towards?
Beloved. It's a ghost story. And
Perfect.
Toni Morrison, I find in the beginning she can be a bit difficult. It's not somebody to sit down and read on a casual basis. Like she's going to make you work for it. Right. But about a quarter of the way through, you can find your groove with her. Sure. And the best way to, like, if you're having trouble with her, get her audiobook, because Toni Morrison reading to you is the best way to spend a day.
She reads her own audiobooks too.
Oh boy.
Ooh, okay.
Does she beautifully. Like, wow. And Beloved is such a beautiful story. It's such a beautiful story. No, so I'm going to read Song of Solomon this year.
Okay.
And that, I tried, that's a book I trampolined off of in January, because I was like, is it time for this? Nope. Because I'm like 25 pages in and I'm not entirely sure what's happening. So it's just, I need something that's a little clearer right now. Then I went to Pride and Prejudice, and I was just like, these people are insane. No. And that was before I learned like how wonderful Jane Austen was at being innovative in narrative. And I didn't know any of that when I started it before. So now I'm reading Pride and Prejudice and I'm fully informed on what she can do. And some of my favorite narrative skills were pioneered by her. And holy cow, a woman did this. Yeah. And Tolstoy was influenced by her.
Yeah.
I have been missing out. That is a serious flaw in my part. So that's again, like feeling stupid. And I don't want to like put myself down, but like feeling stupid, sometimes it's just like, it feels good to be like, I'm in the world and I'm in the world, and that's something brand new, Yeah, that's cool.
Derry's defense, which I will put on the screen just for her
sake.
Oh
my gosh, she's still going. Hi, Derry, I love you. Yes. Loving the rhythm, and I'm not.
Derry, I'm going to be reading more Hobb this year, so hopefully that will give Amy buy her a little more time.
So I'm seeing the 95 adaptation of Pride and Prejudice.
Yes.
Excuse me. I just burped into the microphone. I have not. Is that the one with Colin Firth?
No. Oh my gosh, you guys, help. My brain just completely blanked.
95. Is that Colin Firth and
this? If my mother were watching me right now, Jennifer Ale or Ailey. I can't remember how to pronounce her last name. Yes. Wow. My mother is so disappointed in me right now. Yes, Colin Firth.
So the what's the one with Keira Knightley and Matthew Macfadyen? So Matthew Macfadyen after Succession is just like one of my favorite actors ever. And he was in the Anna Karenina adaptation with Keira Knightley playing her brother. He was he stole this show. He stole the whole movie. And so he's so I can't wait to be finished with the novel and to see one of the adaptations.
I would highly recommend. So I think there were some things that the 2007 did well. I think Macfadyen's portrayal of Darcy was like, he did a great job. I grew up watching, like, my mother is a massive Jane Austen adaptation fan. And so I could probably quote you all 6 hours of the 1995 BBC version.
Yeah.
I have seen that so many times, and I absolutely like that will always be my Pride and Prejudice. And I'm very much not a Keira Knightley fan at all. So to me, she kind of like, I would never be able to enjoy the 2007 as much, because I don't, no offense, she seems like a lovely person, but I don't think she's that good of an actor.
I agree. Also, this is a comment much more on how much I love Matthew Macfadyen, that I would watch that with Keira Knightley. And
yeah, for sure.
So I want to hear about your classics. Oh, a classic that I want to read. I'm trying to get to this year. I'm trying to get to Les Miserables, and I'm trying to get to Don Quixote.
So just some light reading.
Monster Chonkers are on my list this year.
I can't believe, like, I pick one big chonker like every 2 years for classics. So
really? I've just been in the mood. I've just been in the mood for it, you know?
That's fair.
I'm also getting to Middlemarch this year, and that's probably all I'm going to do this year is Middlemarch, Don Quixote, Les Mis, and nothing else.
Les Mis is one of my husband's favorite books of all time. And when we first started dating, that was actually, I didn't know anything about Les Mis when we started dating. And he was like, sit down, we're watching the 10th anniversary performance. And that's one that I really, really want to get to at some point soon to actually read it. Because I still haven't read it. I love you, dear. In fairness, you know, I think coming out of college, and I really resonated with what you were talking about when you were in undergrad and you were like, I just need to not for a while.
Yeah.
I really went through, especially because I was a very young mother coming out of college too. So I had an undergrad English degree and theater, which you read, as you know, a ton for both of those. And then had a new child, and we had our 3 kids within 5 years of each other. So I just didn't have the brain space for classics at all.
No kidding.
And now I'm finally at a point where I've been able to pull them back into my reading TBRs a little bit more and enjoy them.
Good. I'm glad. So did you say what your favorite is?
I haven't. So I am a massive Frankenstein fan.
Me too.
Love Mary Shelley.
Yeah.
I think she's absolutely a genius and was so far before her time. It's ridiculous.
And so talented at such a young age.
Yeah.
Didn't she write Frankenstein when she was 17
Yeah.
and 18? Yeah. That's insane.
The depth of understanding of humanity that she had at that age is just kind of mind-blowing, honestly.
I believe when I was 17 and 18, I wrote a story about a hairdresser who had Mondays off.
Hey, you know
what?
Just put a twist on it and I'm here.
That's what I had to contribute to this world.
So I feel like sometimes we forget the hairdressers that have Mondays off, though, Amy. I think sometimes their stories deserve to be told too.
Thank you. That was very kind of you. So what else? Frankenstein and what else?
Big fan of, so if we're going more modern classics, I'm a massive fan of The Outsiders, another young female author, S.E. Hinton.
I had no idea that was a female author.
S.E. Hinton, yeah. And she was like 16 when she wrote Outsiders.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yep.
Get out.
Totally serious.
Totally love it.
Right?
Yeah.
So I love her, love Mary Shelley. I'm a huge fan of one of my favorite novel of all time is probably White Fang by Jack London.
I haven't read any Jack London, except maybe in middle school. So it's been a while.
There's a short story that gets taught a lot, To Build a Fire, I think is the name of it. That one finds its way into curriculums quite often. He has a way of, and as a, like, we wouldn't have been friends as people, but White Fang, I think I read for the first time when I was 11, and it's pretty, the main character is a wolf. And it's one of the most brilliant character explorations I've ever seen. And the main character never says a word. And I love it. It is, if you struggle with violence against animals, this is a book that you might want to stay away from. You know that because he's the one telling you the story, like he's going to tell the whole story, obviously. But I think this sounds weird sometimes, but at the phase of life I was going through and some of the things that I was experiencing around the time that I read White Fang for the first time, I had never felt so seen by a character. And there's a lot, like there's a whole can of worms that would unpack, but like just that book has meant so much to me. I've probably reread it more than any other book that I own. And it's one of the reasons why the wolf motif shows up in pretty much all of my books.
That's so cool to know that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's an amazing book, but it is definitely one that it's a heavy hitter for sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
I have to say Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. So like
I saw that you guys did the Utah.
Yes.
I haven't watched it yet because I'm not sure if I want to read the book or not yet. I kind of do before I watch it.
Trying to think. Well, it's, it's about colonialism, so it's not very pretty, but it's got some of the most gorgeous language I've ever read in my life. And and for a guy who, it's like, that's not his first language. It just embarrasses everybody. It's just, so that's just, for me, that's a brilliant book. And I keep coming back to it. And hopefully when I read more classics, I'll be able to squeeze more in there, but but spending time with a classic is spending time with just like, you can't read them quickly. At least I can't.
No, I can't.
And I have to like really, focus and journal alongside of it. And so it's just a different kind of reading experience that is just really working for me at the moment.
Well, and I think it's important, at least I think as a full-time booktuber, one of the struggles I run into is that I often read too fast, where I'm like constantly already thinking about the next book before I've even finished the one I'm reading. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I have really been loving about War and Peace, I'm reading it with Leah and Don, who are in the chat right now, mm-hmm. and doing it like a part a month. So it's like 300 pages a month. And that's not even set in stone. So like if we are a little behind that, it's completely fine. And it's really helping me like slow down, really focus on what I'm reading and immerse more. And that's even helping in everything else I'm reading outside of that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's been a really good experience. And I kind of did that in January too. I read the Paper Menagerie short stories collection by Ken Liu.
I enjoyed that.
Oh, so good. And I've forced myself to read one story a day because I could have sat down and finished it like in 2 days.
Yeah, that's so cool.
One story a day, because I was like, okay, I know that I could read this faster, but I want to give each story its own little space so that it's not fighting comparison or anything like that. But yeah, brilliant short stories collection, I thought.
Yeah.
Really, really good. So
John needs to get on that.
Yeah, I think he
got the copy downstairs.
Well, and it's so funny because everybody in my vicinity talks about the Paper Menagerie, the story, which is one of the 15 stories in there. And I thought it was absolutely brilliant. It's a beautiful
I love that story. Yeah.
So good. It wasn't my favorite though.
Really? What was?
No. It was a toss-up between The Literomancer and Mono no Aware.
I don't know that one.
That one was the one with it's the space one with the guy that goes up the rigging.
I loved that one.
Me too. I loved The Literomancer was the one with the, was that world? No, what time period was that? I'm trying to remember. It was around the World Wars somewhere.
I really liked, I don't think anybody likes the first one, but I loved it.
Yeah, the one with the different alien cultures.
Yeah. I was like really, really digging that. I don't know if that was really a story, but really kind of like a meditation on a theme.
Yeah,
but I really thought it was so cool.
Yeah.
That was, I was just kind of getting an introduction to Ken Liu. That was the first thing I had read by him. So I was just like, oh, this guy's pretty deep. I actually have his translation of the Tao Te Ching. And I was reading that kind of like a part a day or like a little episode. The Tao Te Ching's chapters are teeny tiny. So like you could just like read that like one a day. And I need to get back into that. That was just such a cool thing to do.
Yeah, he's a very philosophical, but also he mixes it with such a hearty helping of creativity that I feel like I never felt like I was being, pulled into a philosophical lecture or anything.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of philosophy leaning stories do that too much. Mm-hmm. Ken Liu's feels very light and very like accessible and engaging. Which
kind
was
of
awesome.
Elegant.
Yeah, very elegant.
There's an elegant it's an elegant nature to his writing that I'm really intrigued by. And I did read like the opening chapter of the Dandelion Dynasty's first book, and I just did it kind of like, I wonder what this is about. And I was like, I really like that.
Yeah.
That was just, it was really vivid, and it definitely had kind of like the Asian vibe going on. And I was really kind of floored by it. It's so cool.
Do you have like favorite historical eras to read literature from?
Yeah.
I figured you might.
Yeah. I love the World War II era, and I love Russian. I mean, a Russian is not an era. I know that.
It's not, but I was going to let you run with it.
I was going to say like Tsarist Russia, and or just like coming right up to the revolution. Now, at some point this year, after I'm finished with Les Mis and Middlemarch and Don Quixote, and in my spare time, I want to read Master and Margarita.
Okay.
That is Soviet era. So I kind of want to like push into that a little bit. But I do think that the Russians have things going on that I would deeply appreciate if I could ever, I don't know, at this point, I don't think I would be able to visit ever, but it's just, kind of a sad thing.
Being able to, I mean, going into a conversation about how powerful literature is, though, is the ability to experience it to a degree without ever stepping foot there.
Yeah.
You know, at least we have, because I you know, I've never been outside the country. That's something I would deeply like to fix at some point soon. But I know that I won't be able to visit every single place that I want to go ever. But just being able to appreciate cultures around the world through their authors, and it's such a cool aspect of living in the time that we do.
Yeah. I recently had the experience of reading the Odyssey while I was in Greece. Ooh. And like there's just something about just like looking at the Aegean Sea, which is about as beautiful as every photo tells you it is. And it was like, I don't know how water is that color. I don't know, like how everything is so beautiful. And just like being on like a Greek island and reading the Odyssey, I was like, yeah, you get a real sense of how much how important story is to that culture.
Yes.
And I mean, there are, I think when we were in Athens and I was looking at bookstores to visit, and just in the area that we were in, there were 96 bookstores, and they're all different. Yeah. Right. It's just in one city, and I might be wrong, but the number is like startlingly, eyebrow-raisingly high. Wow. And all of them have different focuses, because there'll be like a bookstore just like all in German, a bookstore all in English. And so there's such a huge expat community in Athens of just, you know, there's one in Arabic, one in Turkish. And it was just so to visit a place like that where story is so so integrated into their culture, it was a really magical experience. So I want that for you. Yeah. I want that. I want you to have that. I want you to be able to see how old we are in the world. That's also fun. That's also fun. That's just a mind-blowing experience.
Well, I mean, most of my favorite historical, like obviously the Civil War is, you know, something that I have a passion for because I grew up in it. But most of my favorite eras of history are ancient world. And I can't get enough of that. And I can't even imagine being able to see any of that in person. That would just blow my mind. Be amazing.
When I went up the hill to see the Parthenon, and you have to like climb, you know, they put it way up there. So, you know, climb. And there's like coming up there and the Parthenon, it was like, this is an earth shattering moment. Like to see the sun, to see the sunrise and hit that thing, to see the Greek theater, like, I mean, there's not much left of it, but
Sure,
one of
sure.
the first Greek theaters on the hillside there
Oh,
was like, I was just tearing up. It was just, it's just an incredible experience that
yeah.
if you love story, you should do it. You should definitely do Greece.
I want to see Greece. I'd love to see Greece. I would love to see some of the Maya and Incan ruins
Yeah,
in South
yeah.
America. One of my favorite historical periods is Goryeo and Joseon era Korea.
Yes.
So getting to go to Korea and see, like, you know, the palace and just it'd be amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
It would be amazing.
So
So
those are your 3. It would be like Greece, like ancient Greece. Would you wanna do Rome?
yeah, I would definitely see. This is the problem, is people ask me like, where are your like top 3 places? And I'm like, here's 15. I would love to see Greece and Rome. I would love to see Scotland, Ireland.
Yeah.
I have very strong family history back to the father of the first king of unified Norway. So I would love to get to see Norway and go back to, you know, where my ancestors came from on that side of my family. It is kind of cool. It's one of my favorite things about my family history is I am actually kind of a Viking. New Zealand would be amazing to
I
see,
would
just for
love
the
to
Lord
see
of the
that.
Rings.
Derry, we're coming.
We're coming, Derry. If I go to New Zealand ever, I'm 100% meeting up with
100%.
Derry.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, just I don't know. There's so many. I've always, ever since I was a little kid and we started learning about, I mean, with like all the ancient Bible history that I grew up with, ancient Egypt and, you know, all of the, I was just amazed by these ancient historical figures that felt like fantasy almost, because they're so far before us. It feels
Yeah.
like a completely different world, because it was,
Yeah.
in some ways. But yeah,
Derry's
me.
arms are wide open and her couch is ready. We can sleep on her couch. We got it.
Yay!
Yay.
Yeah, exactly, Don. Going back to the motherland.
Yeah. How do you know so much about your family history? Do you have like all of that documented, or did you do the DNA thing, or did you?
No, I'm actually really glad I didn't do the DNA thing with all of the leaks and stuff that they've had recently. But no, I have, on both sides of my family, I have people who are diehard historians who put in a ton of work. My grandmother, that was married to my Civil War historian grandfather, she was like the FBI. Like, she was just we always joked that if any of us disappeared, heck with anybody else, we want grandma to find us, because she'll actually find us. And she did just a ton of family history research, and, you know, the process of going back a generation at a time. And yeah, I have, and on my dad's side of the family, which is the Norwegian side, my grandmother is 100% Norwegian. That's where all of the back to Halfdan the Black was his name.
What?
Yeah,
Go back.
Halfdan the Black was
like not a full Dan, a half Dan.
Okay. Funny story about him. So he was so apparently beloved, and this is, you know, modern history, so I don't know how accurate this is, but apparently he was so beloved by the people that he ruled that when he died, they couldn't decide what part of the country they were going to bury him in. So they literally cut him in 4 and buried a piece of him in 4 different parts of the country. So, you know, as you do.
So it's a quarter Dan.
It is a quarter. He wasn't even a half. It was a quarter. I love morbid humor.
Wow.
Yeah. And we found out recently that on the other side of my family, that we are related to William the Conqueror's Grand Falconer, who was a Bassett, the last name Bassett. Yeah. So like, it's just wild. I keep finding out things and I'm like, really? So like, of course I immediately bought a falconry book and sat down with my kids and I was like, guys, you'll never guess.
Wait, this is in the blood. Let's do it.
Let's check it out. Yeah.
So my mom did our genealogy, and
Yeah.
I'm related to Lady Macbeth.
No way.
I'm sure she didn't make one mistake going back that far.
Yeah. It's
I'm
tough.
sure.
It's tough
Yeah, so
to
and you say, like, how many children had Lady Macbeth? Well, she had a child from her previous husband, and then, she
Oh,
married the King of Scotland, Macbeth, who was very, um, not he was pretty boring.
sure.
It was a time of peace. It was not anything like the play at all.
Sure.
But so Queen Macbeth, if you will, I think either Macbeth killed her husband, had something to do with
Okay.
his death, and so you're getting that kind of marriage of, like, not sure if it was a Hamlet thing, like
Mhm.
killed to marry this person, or
Right.
if it was just a, like, I'm going to provide, um shelter for this widow, or I'm
Yeah,
not sure what was going nobody knows what's going on. Nobody knows
sure.
for sure.
Sounds like a
So
story that needs to be written.
yes, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does,
Isn't it? Like
and
the
I
real
would love
oh,
to read it.
yeah. I mean, Macbeth is a favorite of mine. I love that.
That is my favorite Shakespeare play.
It is?
Yeah, Lady Macbeth is one of my all-time biggest dream theater roles.
Do you still wanna do it?
I mean, I'm so rusty at this point.
Yeah,
I would need a lot to get back into any sort of like stage character
yeah.
ability, but it's one of those pipe dreams that like if I ever get even in like, a small community theater, I would 100% jump at the chance. Absolutely. That'd be super fun.
There are
So,
so many different ways that I would play Lady Macbeth.
right?
I couldn't do it just one I couldn't do it once, or
Yeah,
just, like, every night I'd be like, "Guess what, guys? We're doing it
we're
this
doing it
way."
different.
Surprise!
Yeah.
She hates him. I
Yeah.
would love to play it so that she can't stand him.
Yeah.
So everything that she does is
It's
just
too
like, "Guess what you're gonna do
yeah.
now?" Like, we're
Yeah.
just gonna like, especially with that information that, like, her first husband might have been killed by him. Like,
Mhm.
what if this is all just a gigantic death wish, just like a Thelma and Louise, like,
Yeah.
grab the hand and go over the hill? What if she did that? I think you could play that.
Yeah.
Like,
That
all
would
of it
be
all of it was just like, "Oh, I'm gonna get him good."
yeah.
That would
I
be so fun to
That's
play.
the thing is I feel like there's so much range in her character that you could really spend a whole like an entire process of a single play timeline just figuring out how to play her differently.
Yeah. What else would you wanna play? Shakespeare. Number
Oof.
2, Lady Macbeth, number 1. Number 2, mine has to be Beatrice and Much Ado About
Yeah,
Nothing.
that would be a really good one.
I would love to play Beatrice with John as Benedict. That would be really,
See,
really fun.
yeah. If I was gonna pick something to play with Ben, it wouldn't be Shakespeare, probably. Um, I would want to play Annie and Frank from Annie Get Your Gun. That would be my dream roles to play with him.
Did you love the musicals?
The one with oh my goodness, Bernadette Peters.
Yes.
Yes, I mean that Into the Woods is like one of my favorite stage productions that I've seen not on stage.
Mhm, mhm,
um, but yeah, I think Bernadette Peters is fantastic. But I could the "You Can't Get a Man with a Gun" song. Like
mhm.
I could crush that song. I would be so. It would be super fun. I'd have to wear dresses at the end,
Yeah.
which would be a problem. But
So what is your favorite role that you've ever played?
so actually have a pretty limited theater experience, despite my theater minor. I actually directed more than I acted in
Really?
college. Yes, I love directing. That's
So
my sweet spot.
what was your favorite thing that you directed?
Mm, let's see. I did well for my senior theater capstone. I had the option as a minor to do a project for theater, like a big final project, or not, and I chose to do one because why not? And I actually wrote a play called The House on Chestnut Hill, and it was about these 3 spinster sisters in England who have a baby left on their doorstep, and they have to raise this little girl.
That sounds really interesting.
It was, and I directed that, and it was all student volunteer, and that was one of the formative experiences of my whole college career. It completely ignited my love of directing. I absolutely loved it. Every minute of it.
How
It was so much fun.
cool.
Yeah, it was super fun. And the girls who played the 3 spinsters were just, oh my goodness, they were so good. They did such an amazing job. And they're all these like little tiny, like 5'2", 5'4" women. And then
cool.
the one male role in the entire play is their mailman, Howard, who's like the only person that these women talk to ever. And he was played by like a 6'2". Like it was so much fun. It was so much fun.
How fun.
So back to you. Favorite role you've ever played and dream role? You probably have a lot more to pick from.
Yeah, I did a lot. I really enjoyed playing Slippy Helen in Cripple of Inishmaan by Martin McDonagh.
Okay.
And John was with me. He played Babby Bobby. That show is so brutally funny. And if you've seen any Martin McDonagh movies, you'll know what I'm talking about. Like gosh, what was recent? Old mind, something with Colin Farrell, Banshees of Inisherin, I believe.
Oh, okay.
So that's that writer. And I also did Beauty Queen of Lebanon by the same writer, but overall the experience of Cripple of Inishmaan, like just with the cast and how much fun we had.
Yeah, that
and
makes
like
a big
sometimes
difference.
when we were just all of us were on stage and we just getting, that point in the rehearsal where you just get like punchy and and the director, like you, is just getting really angry that we can't hold things together. And I just have like some fantastic memories of all of us just being on stage and we just can't get through the scene because somebody's just laughing and we're just having such a good time.
Love
and
that.
And I have great memories of the cast playing jokes on each other. Like we had these 2 high school kids who they were in the they were from the Arts Magnet and they came to play 2 of the kids in the show, and I played a kid because I was really tiny back then. I was actually pregnant with Jacob when I was in that show, and they had to keep letting out my skirt. So so that show, one of the kids has to hand John a note to say that he's like, I want you to deliver this note to my mother. I'm running away. So he delivers the note to John and he runs backstage and he goes like, I deliver the note to John and on it tonight, it says wiener, wiener, wiener. And so John just like opens the note on stage, reads it, does not laugh, and like folds it up. So like Ryan comes running backstage. I was like, I gave it to him. And we're all just like, so like after the scene, like John comes backstage and he is like, he holds up the note and it was like, not only did you misspell wiener 3 times, but you laughed at your own joke. like you tried to crack me up, but you cracked yourself up. And I was just like, do not go up against the pro.
John is a professional.
John John do not play.
That's awesome. I love the backstage just banter when you have a good cast like that. The first play I was ever in, I was 15 and I was kind of adopted by this community theater troupe of people that have been in this community theater for years. And I was the youngest by like, I think 15 years probably. And they just absolutely adopted me. They taught me how to do my own makeup. I'd never done my own makeup before doing the play. And it was so fun. It was such a lighthearted, fun group. They were great at encouraging me and like just it was the perfect cast to like start. And we did this like it was a play can't even remember who the playwright was, but it's called Flaming Idiots. It's a really dumb like dinner theater comedy kind of thing. Super fun. But yeah, it was the perfect like gateway into theater with them. It was so much fun.
Some of the plays, like just having just like a lighthearted, Rob. Like at the time, I was just like, I'm too serious for this. I am going to be a serious actor, but like now on this end of things, I was like, oh, Amy, lighten up.
Yeah, they're fun.
Oh, I did Shakespeare in the Park one time. I played Desdemona.
Oh, cool.
That was really fun. And I played Paulina in The Winter's Tale in college. So that's kind of where things started for me in Shakespeare, about just like really the love of it.
Yeah.
Love Shakespeare and all the different ways that you can like really access the text and you know, different ways in and out of it. And
yeah,
really,
I think
everything.
I almost wonder if I would have enjoyed, because I wasn't ever a really big fan of Shakespeare in college. And I think if I had been able to play more of it as an actor, I think I would like engage with it that way instead of just as a reader, quote unquote.
Yeah.
I think that would have changed very drastically my experience. I did have the opportunity. One of my other favorite things that I got to do was I was actually the sound designer for The Tempest my junior year. And that was really fun. I loved that. And it was, the scene where Ariel comes up and she's doing the big, like, booming speech and I say she because we had a female actor playing her. And we had this really cool sound design thing where we wanted to kind of take nature and then break it in the sound design. So as she's like, mic'd up and her voice is booming around the theater, I have these like whale cries and ship beams cracking behind her. And like, it was so cool. And it's all backlit with red. It was so cool. It was
such a great idea. That's such a great idea.
Yeah, it was so it was fun to kind of get the experience of all the way around the theater, I guess. Mm-hmm. And getting a chance to play different parts in the cast and crew.
So. That's something that they make you do in your education, right? Like you would have to be, I don't know about a minor, but for a major, like I was, it was like, you're going to do your costume design, practicum, your set design, scene painting, lighting, sound. I did sound for Cherry Orchard. I did, scene design, painting. I did a Jungle Book for that. Fun. And I loved that. What else? Because my memory is so bad. So many good things. I bet it was Tartuffe.
It probably was Tartuffe.
Yeah, it was probably Tartuffe. Those are great costumes.
Oh, absolutely. And it's so fun when you have a play where you can go like find that sweet spot between larger than life and caricatured.
Yeah.
That's so much fun because you can push it a little bit too far.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I don't know how the ladies who were in Tartuffe got through any doors, but they looked fabulous.
How many doors in a Tartuffe set?
I'm trying to remember how many we had. There were quite a few. I'm trying to remember because we had 2 levels to the set.
Yeah, there should be 2 levels.
Yeah, and I can't remember how many doors. That's been a long time ago too. Trying to think how long it's been since I was a freshman in college. A while.
I want to say, yeah, I know, right? I want to say there should be 9, but I actually
feel like quite a few.
But I want to say that's even a low number.
Yeah, it was a lot. But I mean, that's the fun part. The play itself, like there's some things about it that I enjoyed, but the real fun I think of Tartuffe as an actor would be just that you're using the set in such a intensely active way.
Yeah. It's like an Olympic sport. Like the farce.
Getting to the right door. time.
If you've ever seen, like, have you ever seen or done Noises Off?
No.
Because that's like the modern Tartuffe with,
Okay.
you know, like all of the doors. And I believe there's a really good movie version of Noises Off.
Okay.
Yep. Old brain. That's all I've got.
That's okay.
I can't remember who's in it at all.
I do want to get back into community theater at some point. Once my kids are a little bit older. Yeah, for sure.
Yes. It takes so much time. So much time.
So much time. Well, and the other thing is Ben and I have never actually, not really, been on stage together. And I would love to be able to do that. We were in a play. We were in Blood Wedding by Lorca. I can't remember
Francisco Laura Federico with Don Quixote, I believe his name was.
Yeah, we did. I was the neighbor. That was not my favorite memories in theater in college. That play
That's not a fun play.
Well, and there was a lot of extenuating circumstances around that play for us that were not positive experiences with the cast and the crew and everything. But I played the neighbor, and Ben, we did a flamenco dance. That was the one very, very cool thing, is we actually had a flamenco dance teacher come in, and the women all did this flamenco stomp dance at one point during the play. That was really fun. That was really fun to get to learn that. But yeah, that was like one of my, I think the only main stage play that I was in all 4 years. So,
really?
I didn't audition a ton. Because I was terrified of everything in college.
Yeah,
so I didn't have the confidence to actually be like, yeah, I can audition for that and try that. I didn't have the confidence I needed then. So now it would be a lot more relaxed, which I think would be good.
I think I don't know what gave me the confidence to do it, because I was an incredibly shy girl.
Sure. Yeah.
And I didn't like talking to people. I didn't like being around people, but man, for some reason, I loved being on stage. I actually still have
someone else a little bit, which is
exactly. And I still have nightmares that I have missed auditions. And like, you know how like in college, well, you would have to audition like at the beginning of the semester, and they would cast you. I don't know how yours did it, but you would, like, as soon as you got to school, like you moved in and stuff, you would have to audition, and then they would cast for the whole semester. Like, I still have dreams that I've missed that audition, and I have to go through an entire semester without
being in anything. Oh,
no, but just like, so it's like my nightmare, just like, oh no, no play for a semester.
I mean,
yeah, that's like my personal hell. No.
Yeah, I think we had. I mean, there was a main stage play in the fall, a main stage play in the spring. We had a musical in the spring, and then we had something called Theater Physics in September, which was 2 straight weeks of, we basically built an entire vaudeville comedy show with a skit at the end in 2 weeks.
Wow.
And I was in that as one of the actors my sophomore year, and that was such a great learning experience, because we had to come up with absolutely everything, and it was everything from plate spinning to, I mean, we were learning stuff in 2 weeks.
So cool. That's so cool. Where did you go to school?
Bethany Lutheran College in Mankato, Minnesota. It's tiny. It's like less than 800 student body.
That sounds like a really intense theater program.
Pete Bladel, who was I don't know if you've ever heard of the Seussification of Romeo and Juliet.
No.
He wrote that. That's a huge high school, like tons of high schools around our area do that. He's one of the most brilliant people I've ever met, like super awesome ADHD scattered all over the place, but the most perfect theater professor ever. And just, yeah, he was so much fun to learn from, and he did a great job. He basically built that theater program from the ground up and did a great job.
Did you attend because of him, or was that just a happy accident?
It was I didn't know him before I did take like a high school day at Bethany, where when I was a senior in high school, I came in to see, they were doing Romeo and Juliet at the time. And I came in and got to like go backstage, and it was like a high school students check out the theater day. And so I knew I wanted to go in for theater, but I hadn't decided on a major yet. And that was kind of my, oh yeah, I was so wide-eyed and starry-eyed about theater going into college. And it was a completely different experience than community theater. I will say that. College theater is not for the the easily offended. We'll put it that way.
They're easily offended, and yeah, I mean, it's a lot of hard work, and it's a lot of self-importance, and I mean, like the academic side of that too.
It's crazy.
It's just, it's pretty. I loved it though. I loved it. Did you do any high school theater?
Just the 2 community theater plays when I was 15 and 16. Yeah.
So you were one of those kids who didn't do high school and did community. So you thought you were hot stuff.
No, I actually didn't. I thought I didn't know anything. I was
okay.
Just
I'm gonna tell you, like we in the high school program thought you were hot stuff.
Okay. Yeah, well, I was homeschooled all the way through.
Oh, there you go.
And I'm an only child, so
there you go.
You know, community theater was my high school theater experience. But yeah, going into, I got pretty jaded in college theater, pretty jaded pretty fast. Not necessarily because of Pete by any means, but just a lot of the other kids in the college theater were not what I had hoped to find. We'll put it that way. So I still love theater, but yeah, I had some, you know, there were the ones that were the worst and got all of the, you know, always got the main stage, everything. So, but yeah, I'm definitely not still bitter about it. Definitely not. Yeah, but it was fun. I mean, like I said before, I had some amazing formative experiences in my theater time at Bethany that were like directing and sound design, and I loved those experiences. So yeah,
sounds like a really, really smart program.
Yeah. Have you guys not been to a show in a long time?
Don't think so. We saw something on Broadway, Johnny. I think it was called The Ferryman. And it won a bunch of Tonys, but we weren't impressed with it. And then before that, we saw The Pillow Man by Martin McDonough. It was Jeff Goldblum was in it, and Billy Crudup. It was actually very good. Billy Crudup is a really amazing actor, and Jeff Goldblum is Jeff Goldblum.
Right.
And there was also
like needed.
and it had in it very young Michael Stuhlbarg, and if anybody has seen him, he's an incredibly good actor. Anyway, so those experiences, like of just going up to New York to see a show, it can be like, I used to be just like so enamored with Broadway, and then we became really good friends with somebody who worked on Broadway. It's like, it's just another community theater. It's just a different budget.
Right.
And it's like, it's still got the same stuff. It's still got the same problems and the same, you know. So once I started to see that in it, like I couldn't unsee it. I couldn't see like weak links in the cast. I couldn't see like some director decisions that could have been a lot better. And so now I know that it's all flawed. So it's
but it's hard. You can't. The fourth wall has been broken.
And I'm not very much of a musical person. That's Johnny. He loves to do that, and John's actually a really fantastic singer, and he's a really fantastic singer.
And I have to join the booktube choir.
He is. So, and I can't sing a note, just not one. I would love to be able to, and I would love. I think just like not being able to be in a musical for that reason, it just all makes it just like really wants to. It's like I just really wanted to play Audrey in Little Shop of Horrors. I really wanted to be able to belt, but it's just not my jam. I can't do it.
I can fake a belt, but I can't
actually do a belt.
I'm also not a soprano, so That's one of the reasons why I love singing the Annie Get Your Gun songs, because they're not that high comparatively. And that's more fun. So, well, I know that we've been I mean, I could honestly, we'll just have to do a part 2.
I know. This has been incredibly fun.
I want to say, first of all, thank you so much for sharing your time and always being so incredibly gracious and supportive, and just your generally amazing self.
Dude, thank you for having me. I was so so honored when you asked. I was like, why me? I'm just me. So
no way. I was so not completing the Minton trifecta. There was no way.
Yeah, there's a Minton trifecta.
Absolutely.
There we go.
Well, and also, I forgot to mention this at the beginning, so I deeply apologize. But everyone in the chat and in the replay, please go down in the description box below, and there is a link to the Minton's website. And there's also a link to the Talking Story YouTube channel, where Mizz Amy Minton does occasionally come on and talk very insightfully about different books that she's been reading. So you guys should check that out. Derry, I love you so much. We're both old.
Derry.
Yes. But thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you. There's so many people in the chat having so much fun.
I know.
I can see what was happening over there. I was just like, I want to be in the chat. What's happening?
Conversations happening down there. But yeah, to leave us, is there a book or two that you think my audience should definitely check out to put on their TBRs?
Your audience. So that would be
books that you like. So my audience is more than capable of pushing outside their comfort zone. It'll be good for them.
I love to recommend to people who are in the fantasy realm, even in the bit of a horror realm or even cosmic horror realm, want to try some kind of a little bit more of a literary bent, to check out Victor LaValle. He was a teacher of mine in grad school, and one of the ones who in that literary crowd was pushing for genre. And so when I absolutely idolized him in school, so cool. and still do. So he has a couple of books that could be of interest. It's one is The Changeling, which is it's really kind of like an urban fairy tale. Ooh. And so if you know the story of The Changeling, then you'll kind of know it's kind of like a riff. Victor does a lot of racial retelling. So The Ballad of Black Tom is H.P. Lovecraft's I forget the name of it. It's Red Hook, something Red Hook. I can't remember the name of the short story. Anyway, so he's really good at taking some of the very white-centered stories and steering them into Harlem and having some fun with that.
Yeah.
So I really recommend Victor LaValle. Okay. If anybody would like to try those two books, they're The Changeling is so fun to read and so fast, and Ballad of Black Tom is very short, also very fun. So
I've had that one on
literary. Yeah.
I've had that one in my kind of periphery a couple of times. I've been very intrigued by that one.
Yes. So enjoy.
Thank you. Amy, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate your time.
It's honestly my pleasure. Thank you so much. I enjoyed hanging out with you and everybody in the chat. Thank you.
Chat, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. And if you're watching the replay, we love you too.
We love
Thank you for being here.
Yes.
But yeah, I hope you guys are having a great week. I hope you're reading some 5-star reads, and we'll see you in the next video.